Kmars banning gallery, restricting modern, doubling redwoods and picking terrace, while Kmezz is banning tan, restricting balcony, doubling library and picking veranda. So dbdkmezz going for the larger venues on the picks, banning out some occlusion and some balcony here. And Kmars getting rid of gallery and modern and picking redwoods and terrace. I was just warming up with Kmars, but we were playing gallery and we were playing ballroom and something else. A lot of ballroom, though. We didn't play any redwoods or terrace, so interesting that they chose to pick these. Oh, we played the library. That was right. We did warm up on some library. So let's jump right in. We're a game or two behind, so we can rush through these here. We're gonna have Kmars loading in as boots. Let's get into casting mode. Ooh, I almost hit escape to lobby. That would have been bad. Heads into blue books to start. I do like the blue book start. I think a fun little strategy that you can do sometimes on redwoods is, well, actually maybe I won't give it away because there's some of my opponents may be watching. But it involves blue books. Blue book is an interesting choice on redwoods, as I think it's pretty strong because it's not the one that has statues and it's kind of hidden there in the back. Kmars ends up going for a 34% flirt into a stop talk. Pretty full conversations. The sniper may be expecting banana bread soon. Goes for a difficult print on the briefcase, ends up landing it. Again, pretty full conversations. It looks like we're going to choose to head into red book so that we can pick up a flirt with Irish, who's inspecting a statue. We're going to pick up a highlight for going to the book. Redwood's the only venue in the game currently that has this setup where there's a book with two statues on the sides and you can inspect the statues while holding the book. Unique feature of Redwoods. Flirt at 85%. We've got two inspects and a fingerprint. Gonna take a bit of a wide path. I'm not sure that was actually correct. I think it would be more like a path that Pearls just took where you're cutting closer to the conversation. Nonetheless, it's not going to be noticed. We're going to head to the fireplace here to do an innocent watch check and then probably into conversation to pick up a flirt with Irish. I was playing some warm-up games with Kmars before this, and he's doing pretty well. We finished a flirt with Irish, but we're going to chase her to the next conversation anyways. Hopefully we're not getting flirt paired here. Safety off toggle on Kane, who was just inspecting the far right statue. 35 seconds left, and we've got a lot of missions to do here.
And the end of red.
We're going to go for a fake split, hoping to land in conversation with the real double agent, but Alice ends up bailing on us before we can land on the pad. And we're now in a position where we've got a time add or timeout. Maybe going for a frame. Sniper's watching for the bug on the far left side. Kmar stepping into statue is getting a fingerprint, could inspect and swap to go into mission win countdown here. Green swap is complete. We're now mission win pending. Great timing by Kmars. Safety off toggle onto boots. Ready to take the shot. dbdkmezz holds and is waiting for the OT beeps here. I think dbdkmezz is really ready to take this shot. Kmars might need to dance. Shot is lined up right on us. Swap is going to come off. dbdkmezz goes for the shot, isn't patient enough, and Duke walks in front of the laser and takes a bullet. You love to see it. Let's take a look again. Wow, very unfortunate timing. Kmez could see that Duke was coming, but just wasn't ready for it. The swap hadn't even gone off yet. It's a very interesting shot because Kmars would have been in. There was no OT beep, so I'm not even sure why the shot went off. I think dbdkmezz just knew that this was a green swap that was going off, but still nonetheless slightly premature on it. And very unfortunate. Let's see how they handle it heading into a spy round of their own as Plane Twin. This is something that you don't want to let tilt you. And Kmars, being the nice guy that he is, ends up with the homie stock, shoots the ambassador on purpose to give the point back over to dbdkmezz. So we're going to head into a 1-1 scenario. I'm not sure if I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it is pretty unfortunate, but it is also a mistake by the opponent. Nonetheless, let's see what happens with Kmars on wheels here. Goes for an early contact, which nets 4 lowlights to the sniper, picks up a flirt for 34%, and then jumps into the front left statue. Tries to quickly get that inspect, hoping to not be seen. Jumps back into conversation here with Oprah to pick up next flirt. Grabbing a drink from Toby that has a fingerprint on it. We're going to pick up the delegate option as well as a fingerprint. Head back into conversation here. Looking to set up for a delegate, possibly. The drink could also have been just to get the fingerprint. Mrs. Pad trying to head in with Oprah just because wheels is so wide. It is an angle to where it's somewhat not noticeable that we missed the pad. I like the way that Kmars handled that. Didn't try to twitch in. Just stopped for a moment to make it look like we were in combo and then is going to move on. Looks like we're going to attempt to get in, and we do land this time on the pad with our seduction target. Four lowlights, minute 10 left, and we've got mission progress spread amongst 4 different missions here. We need to get 1 more fingerprint, 2 inspects, and we should be able to wrap up flirt here. Kmars is waiting a long time to go for this flirt. I don't quite agree with this. I don't think that Kmars needs to be this patient on a flirt. It's not like there's a hardtail showing. If there was a swap or a purloin and you think that it's extremely narrowed down to maybe you and one other target and you're being just tunnel vision, fine. But to wait this long to go for the flirt is just unnecessary. Maybe Kmars doesn't realize that they need to flirt? Okay, goes for the flirt and then instant leaves. I don't understand the logic in that at all. It's like you're going to respect etiquette for 30 seconds so that you don't talk early, and then when you finally do flirt, you're just going to break animation and talk right away anyways. I don't know. Interesting decision there. We'll see what happens. Goes for the fingerprint on red. Good patience. Does break read animation to put the book away, but with Kmars, with Wheels' height being so low, probably not seen. It looked like dbdkmezz was really contemplating the shot there onto Kmars, but ends up holding, and Kmars is going to get away with the win with only 3 seconds left on the clock. So Kmars really doing a good job of fingerprint tracking and letting them cook for a while. Let's see if dbdkmezz can answer back as rocker. Kmars going for some flirt highlights that end up being accurate. And this is very powerful because dbdkmezz likely doesn't know that they're a highlight, which means they're bound to do a couple things that may reveal themselves. The only unfortunate part here is that the highlight is onto Smallman, who is not the seduction target. However, Kmezz ends up chasing Smallman anyways, and this false flirt pairing could come to cause him some harm here. Real white contact is going to be on screen.
And the end of red.
Kmars is zoomed, is rotating the camera a little bit. Rocker is visible on screen with nobody around her. Is seen talking. Goes for a bit of a late low light. Kmars assuming real. Low light's two people in a conversation by themselves. Meanwhile, dbdkmezz is going to split over to the front left conversation next to the ambassador. Might take a bug on the entry. Doesn't take the bug, but maybe credited with just that entry in that path. Waits a moment, goes for a standing bug lean. Kmars sees it, starts to line up the shot, sees that it's not a great shot, doesn't want to do what Kmezz did on accident and shoot the wrong person, so rotates around as they know they have a little bit of time and takes a more secure shot. Here you can see Kmars starts to line it up, and it's just kind of a tight shot as it toggles off onto one of the twins and Toby, so rotates around to get a better one. Good patience by Kmars, good recognition to not misshoot there. And Kmars is going to be exiting Redwoods 3-1. Great lead on, I believe, their doubled venue. Let's take a look. It was their doubled venue, so we're going to be heading into Library. And as I said earlier, I did warm up with Kmars, and we did play a bit of Library. So let's see if that is going to help them out. We didn't play too many rounds. We played a lot more Ballroom, I think, than we did Library. Kmars loading in a Seek. Can find Seek in this list. Here we go. Joins conversation with Iris, hits the flirt for 51%, goes for an immediate bail. Was somewhat behind pillar. We go for a walking bug. Fails. I don't believe that it was seen. Kmezz's sniper laser is whipping around here pretty fast from yellow to blue books, not stopping too much in the middle. Reject a drink from Toby, and likely going to be heading back towards our seduction target. Heading in with our seduction target, we land an instant green. Laser is burning on us, and we do go for an instant talk into the flirt and to stop talk.
And the end of red.
Real contact. It is a white. Sorry, it's actually a fake contact with an SDA in convo. DBD ends up taking 3 lowlights. And the Spy now stepping into green books. Gonna go for a green microfilm at the green books. And this ends up working out, especially as dbdkmezz seems to really be scanning pretty quickly over the center of the venue, isn't really stopping much in the center here. Overall, pretty quick laser movement, not staying in any one area for too long. I think I'd like to see dbdkmezz stick on each kind of visual here for a little bit longer. Pick up a fingerprint from briefcase and head into blue books, likely to finish up microfilm. And it ends up being an innocent book visit. Kmars maybe just a little bit too worried to go for this microfilm here. Also not great timing as the ambassador wasn't really in danger. They're in a conversation by themselves. So instead he's going to head into center statues. Picks up some inspects, but also a highlight on the way. Manages to get all 3 inspects completed, set statue down, and is going to enter conversation with the real double agent. Ends up going for the
And
banana
in the
bread right
red.
away. I'm not sure if I like this decision, as it's going to look pretty obvious to the sniper. Ends up bailing, which could be really good or could be really bad. At least we're not seen talking. dbdkmezz still watching for Purloin here, toggling the lights on Smallman, who ended up taking an innocent drink post Purloin. Kmars with 3 missions done and progress on 2 other ones. Just needs to get a fingerprint and another microfilm. It's going to be a little bit harder to do when we are the only highlight. However, it looks like the highlight is mostly for mission tracking. dbdkmezz is still rotating around, not really keeping a close eye on us. It's an innocent book visit to yellow. Goes for a walking bug. A little bit ill-advised. And dbdkmezz decides to finally take the shot after noticing that walking bug there and earns himself a point on sniper here on library. Kmezz loading in as Queen, joins the center right conversation across from the seduction target to pick up first flirt for 20%. Grabs first briefcase. Works on the flirt, waiting for the flirt cooldown to expire. Joins back in a conversation next to the seduction target. Lands a green, takes flirt up to 71%. So Kmezz going for the soft tell, pretty standard here on library or just as a spy game in general, is going for some soft tell work before going for the hard tells. Does end up requesting a drink. Maybe it has a fingerprint on it. No, just takes an innocent drink. Oh, there's the fingerprint, okay. And wraps up fingerprint here. So fingerprint, seduce, and contact is going to be the 3 easy missions, but we've still got to get 2 more. Center statues can be one of them, and it's not a hard tell, but what is that 5th mission going to be? It's one that I think Kmezz needs to get done before going for center statues, and ideally before even going for contact. We could go center statues into a contact Purloin. Would be a decent option here, but I think maybe go for the center statues now to leave yourself enough time to set up for a perfect Purloin. Decides to enter conversation with a double agent. I expect contact to come off here and goes for it pretty quickly. It is a green, but it's relatively soon after we joined. Kmezz really rushing this down. 2 minutes and 33 seconds. 3 missions done and is going to head into center statues. Inspect swap is an option here. Inspect's held statue first rather than the one on the right, which means Irish is going to take it from us and we're not going to be able to finish Inspects as a cast member is holding the one that we need on the right, eliminating the option to go for an Inspect swap at 2 minutes. Kmezz paths past the ambassador, goes for a helicopter bug as she bumps in, and unfortunately the sniper's on top of it. Kmars takes the shot and earns a point, bringing the score to 4-2. Very unfortunate for Kmezz to go for what we'll call a checker bug. I think they were well within their means to win this round here, or at least bring it a lot closer. I don't think that it was necessary to go for such an ill-advised bug here. Even if we didn't bounce, I think your hand is still poking through. And from this position, I mean, you can see, I think even prior here, I guess the laser really does flick over right as we're at it. So Kmezz may have thought, okay, the laser's not here, I can go for this bug. But unfortunately, it's caught. Still think that they could have waited for either a better bug or a late Purloin or maybe even a swap. Kmars misses a pad, but it's probably off screen here, and it's going to look like it was not a miss pad. Starting out as Salmon, goes for the quick flirt and to leave again. ends up picking a highlight for it. Attempts a walking bug behind pillar. Innocent visit to green books here is likely to head into conversation with the seduction target on the back right combo. Now I think here Kmars needs to wait a little bit before talking, but ends up going for the flirt anyways. White test up to 34%, requests strength from
And the end of
waiter,
red.
goes for the fake BB. Looks like this is going to be a fake BB into purloin cover. Guest list is pending. Unfortunately, Toby offers to someone right next to us, and Tex is going to take. Fade is going to be off screen. And Tex walks away. So that looks pretty good. Now we'll see if dbdkmezz is going to have patience enough to just narrow down the party instead of going for a shot. Ends up highlighting Taft on the other side of the venue, so doesn't look like dbdkmezz is quite sure on the chain there. But we do remain a highlight, and we chase Dizzy and land right next to him. Kmars this time showing a little bit more patience instead of insta-talking on the flirt there, which means that Kmars may recognize that they are on the suspect list for this purloin. Kmars in a pretty decent position here, was able to get away with the purloin, and there's still a lot of suspects on the list. Ends up going for a white time ad, not sure if that was actually needed. Wheels picks up a low light. Not sure if the time ad was noticed. Oh, and dbdkmezz is on top of it. Ends up taking a shot onto Salmon for their first fingerprint and only their third mission that they were working on. So Kmezz was a lot more on top of it than I think I had realized from the sniper perspective. So takes the shot, and it was a correct one. So good shot by dbdkmezz. Good job on recovering from what looked like a pretty disadvantageous position from the sniper. There was still a lot of people either neutral or highlight, and it should have been down to 2. Take a look at the picks and bans here while we wait. So with library being pretty sniper favored, we should expect Kmars to exit library up 5-3. We'd then be heading into terrace. So all really Kmars has to do is just win all of their sniper games from here on out, and just play pretty patiently on terrace. And then veranda is also fairly sniper favored, so Kmars should be able to pull this win through as long as they can just hold serve on sniper. But you know, obviously we'll see what happens. All right, dbdkmezz loading in as mom. Waiting for Kane to finish at blue book so we can grab our first flirt. We're gonna wait at the side window here. Looks like we're going to decide to head to the other end of the venue and grab a yellow book. I wonder if this is going to be a direct transfer or if Kmezz is going to work on a microfilm animation. dbdkmezz bringing the yellow book out. So I imagine that microfilm is going to be a part of this mission plan. Otherwise, that's a large time investment. Ends up going for a bug as we land into the conversation behind the pillar. No highlight for it, so I don't believe that Kmars spotted it. Picks up first flirt for 32%. And the bug didn't stick. We ended up being a little bit too far away and just mistimed the click on that. And even though we landed next to the ambassador, it was still considered a walking bug because we were moving when we started it. And it looks like we're going to microfilm behind pillar at the side window. And I think we're off pad so that it's completely covered. dbdkmezz may be worried that it was spotted as the laser did hang over there for a moment, but I think that that was just coincidence. Kmars returning, or I'm sorry, dbdkmezz returning the yellow book, ends up picking a highlight for it, so Kmars obviously suspicious of something here. Not quite sure what. And then ends up picking a low light, so very interesting from Kmars to bring the spy from neutral to highlight and then down to a low light. I don't think that dbdkmezz is going to be expecting the low light, which means that we're not likely to see much of a, they're not going to put their foot on the gas and get a bunch of missions done. They're still going to play it as if they're probably in neutral. Grabs their next flirt up to 66% and heads into green book so that they can wrap up microfilm. And the unfortunate part about going for the double microfilm animation is it requires so much time. And Kmezz again brings the book out, so they're having to deal with the etiquette of reading, bringing it out, microfilming, going back, the etiquette of how to put it away, and it's just so much time for only one mission that it becomes pretty hard to finish. Ends up microfilming, I believe, in the same spot behind the pillar. And grabs a fingerprint from the green book, so getting double mission progress from it. However, we're still at 1 minute and 35 seconds, and we only have 2.5 missions complete. They're going to have to do quite a bit here. I think contact purloin may be in order. Kmars worried about a swap from Seek, ends up highlighting. And back down to neutral. Meanwhile, Kmezz is looks like they were chasing the seduction target, but that's already complete. Is waiting for the ambassador to drop off this book so they can head into blue and finish out fingerprint. Goes for a white time ad. Kmars laser is over the top of us here, but we are a low light. dbdkmezz goes for another walking bug, and somehow that doesn't land. That one looked like it really should have. We picked up an extra 45 seconds. Here goes the contact into the purloin. Let's watch the sniper's POV to see if it's on screen. Kmars goes for the low lights primarily. Purloin visible on screen. It doesn't look like it was noticed quite yet, and the fade was also pretty well on screen. Kmars likely should be noticing that the guest list is gone. We do see a little bit of panic as there's only 1 minute and 10 left, and now that hardtail is showing. Doesn't take the shot yet, though. Meanwhile, Kmezz is going to grab the briefcase to get their second fingerprint and enter mission with countdown. 4.5 seconds left. We're not going to hear any OT beeps. We're a low light, and that's likely going to be a spy mission win on library, something you don't hear too often, and it's the result of a quite odd low light on Demam here. I'm not quite sure what the reasoning was behind this to go from a highlight to then being a low light. Yeah, not quite sure what that was. So now we're all tied up, and Kmars has lost their lead. So someone's got to find a spy win. Otherwise, we're going to end up in a tied scenario. Loading it as Taft onto Terrorist. Joins conversation with seduction target Wheels in the back right. Picks up our first flirt for 34% and goes for the instant stop talk. We've seen on Kmars Spy every single time, you know, their opening move is this aggressive flirting. It looks like we're just going to timer flirt, wait for the cooldown to expire.
And in the red.
Light contact is really good. I think you could maybe low light see, but I think that could have also just been a green contact into split. Yeah, great contact. Pretty much everybody was in. Takes our next flirt up to 66%, goes for another stop talk. And not much of a reason to not do these, as they don't seem to be punished by dbdkmezz, but I was surprised by one of Kmarz's shots, so maybe they are picking up on some things that we can't see from the spectator view here, or that they're noticing. Steps into bar to take the guest list, delegate option. So we've got delegate and pocket. That may be our path to victory here, as we don't have any fingerprints started, we don't have any inspect started. And bugging as Taft onto Duke is pretty ill-advised. Looks like these highlights are mostly for bar visits. Disney brought down to neutral, and Taft brought back down to neutral, but I don't think that the timer has expired, so a little bit concerning here if dbdkmezz is attempting to use these highlights as bar tracks. Grabs our next flirt up to 96%, minute left on the clock, and no third mission in sight as the timer should be expiring. I didn't grab the exact time that he took a drink, but there we go, timer expired. We may see a direct take, purloin frame. Boots would be a good option here as she's recently taken a drink. Let's watch Kmar's perspective and see what he's eyeing up. Looks to really be eyeing up the ambassador. Maybe hoping for a bug opportunity to reveal itself, but as I said, taking a bug as Taft on the Duke here on Terrace is going to be a pretty tall order. Goes for the timer flirt, should be wrapping it up, and we'll have about 15 seconds to get our last mission, which is going to have to pretty much be bug, but ends up throwing out the fake contact to give some other people a real contact from the sniper's perspective, and it ends up netting into a civ shot onto Boots. So point for Kmars, and there's the spy one that he needed. Now he just, again, needs to hold serve on sniper. dbdkmezz loading in his general, still with swap off. Goes for an early white contact with a lot of people in conversation. It's only going to let off one low light, or two low lights. Not too bad on this venue. We're one of 3 people that could have real contact. However, typically on Terrace, because it is one known double agent, you can expect to see another contact later that will be fake to give some more people a real contact from the sniper's perspective. So you usually see 2 on Terrace, 1 real, 1 fake. Grabs first flirt up to 34% with Queen. Heads into bar to grab the delegate option. Back into conversation with Queen to work on flirt. We do go for a difficult print that was left on that drink. We end up failing. Drink was taken at what, about 210, I think. Next flirt brings us to 57%. Ambassador snuggles right up next to us. We could go for a twitch bug. However, from the spy's perspective, that bug probably looked terrible, but due to the sniper's angle, Duke would have been covering the hand that would have popped through. Queen goes for briefcase and has a drink, maybe a decent target for a frame here, a delegate frame. Doesn't have a drink, my mistake. Ambassador should be leaving. Yep, leaves a fingerprint on Toby again. We're going to work on our next flirt up to 84%, and unfortunately, Kmars is just too suspicious of Queen, I suppose, for the fingerprint. Ends up taking the civ shot. I think that that's a bit premature. I don't think that Queen had 3 missions done. Not sure what the other mission was. Maybe he was worried about a missed fingerprint early on, but we're going to be heading back into a tied scenario as we head into the last venue, which is going to be Veranda, I believe. We'll take a look. Veranda as dbdkmezz's pick. Traditionally a pretty sniper-favored venue, so it's very possible we'll end up in a tie. However, we did have some spy wins on Library, so it really could go either way. And again, a tie just means that both players get 1 point in the division. However, if somebody wins, they get 2 points. Standings-wise, I think Kmars is too low in the standings to have any shot at the top. And let's see, we're in bronze. Yeah, Kmars currently sitting at 3 SCL points. dbdkmezz currently sitting at 11, followed by the people above him being 12, 13, 13, 14. So this is a fairly important match to dbdkmezz. Really needs to win this to bring themselves up to 13 points to try and secure a spot in second. Looks like they are ready to go, so we'll head into the last venue. Kmars pulling out the Smallman. When you need a spy win in these waning moments, Smallman's always a good option. Yeah, this game is for the marbles. Kmars starting out pretty slow. We haven't seen that traditional spy start from Kmars where they go for that quick flirt into leave. I expect they're still going to do it. They just didn't want to chase down the seduction target right out of the gate. So probably see a quick flirt here.
And the end of
They
red.
go for an instant contact, pick up the flirt, and bail into green book. So we're trying to get our first flirt and our contact and do a banana split. First flirt for 51%. So and the lowlights ends up only being 5, so pretty good result. dbdkmezz is worried that there's something else afoot, checks the guest list as a pretty early contact is fairly atypical on this venue. So worried that it was to cover something else, and it was, but they haven't caught it. It was so that Kmars could grab this green book and is now putting it back in red. dbdkmezz drops the laser down onto Kmars' head for a moment, so Kmars may be thinking that this is a highlight. Gets away with the transfer. And Kmars making pretty good progress. Wheels ends up coming to us, so we're going to grab our next flirt up to 85%. And I think it may be a good time for Kmars to idle a little bit. Maybe hang out in this conversation, maybe just go for a timer flirt, and then work on some statues. Goes for the white time ad. Not sure that that was actually necessary, as the pacing from Kmars thus far was actually quite good, and ends up picking a highlight for it, so it's likely that that time ad was noticed. It's going to head into statues to pick up their first set of inspects. And let's see what they're watching. Jumps into conversation near the seduction target who's finishing up at blue books, hoping that Wheels would join us. However, seduction target ends up going to statues, and we can't resist the opportunity to get two missions worked on here. We're going to grab the flirt before the statue pickup to finish it out. Goes for an instant swap. I'm worried that that's actually an action test issue, as we may have meant to double tap to hit the inspect. dbdkmezz is going to rotate around to look for the swap, notices it, takes the shot with only a few seconds left on the mission run countdown. Very curious to know if that was actually a mistake to go for that swap, as usually when you step into statues you would press like Q or E twice. I guess that's only if it's in a mid, so I don't know. It could have been an action priority mistake, could have not been. We'll find out later by asking him. But that is going to be a win for dbdkmezz and a marble for dbdkmezz, which means that Kmars will be playing Sniper on Veranda for 1 marble to get the tie as Irish. And again, dbdkmezz really needs this win here to really have a shot at taking second or perhaps first. I haven't done all of the calculations, but they are near the top of the standings in bronze. Starts out with a flirt for 34% in one of the front conversations. Is going to leave, doesn't want to go for the timer flirt. Gets a little bounce off of pearls. Lets the flirt cooldown expire and picks up a passive highlight from Kmars. Very good catch. It was probably for a suspected bug path, I would imagine. Ends up requesting a drink from the waiter, which is pretty curious of a choice here. Don't believe there's a fingerprint on it, and I'd imagine that a purloin this early would get caught. Goes for a reject into leave, which this could be an interesting way to lose some suspicion, to make it look like we green purloined, but in fact we didn't. Decides to pull the same move that they did before and head to the same spot to let the flirt cooldown expire. Fortunately doesn't head back into flirt with the ST in the same spot. And this time decides to go into the time ad position near the blue books. We'll see if they're going to take advantage of it. Does go for the time ad. It does end up being green though. Tucked away in the corner. We're one of 3 highlights. I'm not sure that that was noticed. It was noticed, and Kmars takes a really good shot. I mean, we had no missions done on Veranda, and Kmars takes the correct shot. I think it obviously would have been safer to wait, but when you know, you know. So let's take a look at this highlight and see how they managed to pull that off. That is going to result in a 6-6. Let me get the scoreboard updated. So we're going to take a look here. Let's see if we're just maybe worried about bug. It doesn't really seem like bug could have happened. I don't know if we were just onto this flirt pairing or onto this behavior of let me flirt and then leave and come back over here. Not sure what that highlight was for, but it was correct. And then after that, we must have just been tunneling and noticed the green time ad. Scary sniper game from Kmars to catch that. And Ryu's prediction of a 6-6 result was correct, which means that Kmars and dbdkmezz are both going to earn a point in the division. Congrats to both players, and GG's.